I want to talk about, as you know, seeds tonight, so I'll do a little contemplation. And I brought these flowers as sort of a token for the theme for the evening. Aren't they brave? You know, and that's really what is called for among us these days. These little brave guys that have lived through this winter um, and just cheerfully are entertaining us. So a bit of contemplation to start. Take a moment as we begin and check into the body, your body, asking it what it needs right now. See if you'd be willing to listen. And offer it that. Generally, the invitation of our practice is to have both feet on the floor, if that's comfortable for you. Feeling the floor, the earth beneath us. Notice that this body is breathing. Offering us the gift of life. Freely given, freely sustained. This body here, breathing. And for the contemplation as we begin, as much as possible, letting go of analysis or expectation. Invite your mind to recall something you have done or said that you feel was a wholesome, kind, or good thing to speak or do. Take your time. Invite a recollection, a time perhaps when you were generous or grateful or caring, or you contributed to someone's well-being. Don't force it. Allow yourself to be curious and perhaps surprised at what you recall. And if something comes to mind, allow yourself to know in the body the ease or comfort or happiness that may arise with that remembrance. Letting yourself feel in the body any quality of ease or comfort or happiness. It's also possible that nothing might come to mind. So I want to include awareness of that. If nothing comes to mind, again, don't struggle with yourself. Gently turn your attention to some quality that you like about yourself. Maybe it's just that you like raspberries. Or some quality of yourself that is good or wholesome. An ability or a strength within yourself that you can recognize. It doesn't have to be perfect or fill every corner of your awareness. But if something comes to mind, let yourself again know the ease or comfort or happiness that accompanies that remembrance. And if still nothing comes to mind, perhaps imagine that you're working too hard at it or trying to make it too special. See if there could be some simple quality, something you've done or said that was wholesome, kind, or good, or something you like about yourself that is wholesome or good. And let yourself feel in the body the quality of that. And so now for the rest of the period, you can either let yourself keep coming back to the goodness, the wholesomeness, the good feeling of the quality of that, or you can shift over, if you prefer, to whatever your ordinary meditation practice is. Knowing the goodness of that. Resting in that goodness, breathing it in, enjoying wholesome qualities of goodness. I'll close the meditation period with a teaching that the Buddha offered to a man named Mahanoma, who came to him and asked him, you know, when things are hard for us lay people, what should we think about? This is the teaching that the Buddha offered. He says, there is the case where you recollect your own virtues. They are untorn, unbroken, unspotted, unsplattered, liberating, praised by the wise, untarnished, conducive to concentration. At any time when a disciple of the noble ones is recollecting virtue, his mind is not overcome with passion, not overcome with aversion, not overcome with delusion. His mind heads straight, based on virtue. And when the mind is headed straight, the disciple of the noble ones gains a sense of the goal, gains a sense of the Dharma, gains joy connected with the Dharma. In one who is joyful, rapture arises. In one who is rapturous, the body grows calm. One whose body is calmed experiences ease. In one at ease, the mind becomes concentrated. Mahanama, you should develop this recollection of virtue while you are walking, while you are standing, while you are sitting, while you are lying down, while you are busy at work, while you are resting in your home, crowded with children. Watering every living seed. Here's what I wrote about it. These are challenging times. Like the dark days of winter, it can all seem depressing or endless or even hopeless. You know, I was looking outside the other day and it was like dead. It's all dead. It's just all dead out there. In this evening's offering, we will explore together the seeds of our awakening, sometimes lying deep in the darkness. We will nourish each other with support and guidance and faithfulness in watering every living seed. And this is from a poem by Pablo Neruda. Perhaps the earth can teach us as when everything that seems dead and later proves to be alive. Perhaps the earth can teach us. So, how's life these days? How's the world going? They are kind of challenging times. Any experiences of gain or loss or pleasure or pain or challenges or difficulties, I have kept coming back to seeds, and I was thinking about, these catalogs that we get, in the wintertime, and it just all looks so great, doesn't it? You know? Maybe that would be good, yeah. And it looks so great, and yet when the actual challenge of growing seeds and planting things and keeping them going, it's actually not quite like all the pictures, And I was thinking our spiritual practice is kind of like that, we come and we're all inspired, and we read these books, and it's wonderful, as it should be, as it should be. And then when the difficulties come, we can kind of lose our way. It's confusing and hard and challenging, and we think we're doing something wrong. And so I wanted to inquire into that a little bit, and I just kept coming back to the idea of seeds and the earth and gardening, and really what's needed for things to flourish. The invitation of our practice, there's a Pali phrase, Nibbana Pachaya Hotu, which means, may this become a cause for awakening. I've been thinking about it a lot these days. May this become a cause for awakening. This is Rachel Naomi Raymond. She says, the theory of karma suggests that life itself, in its essential nature, is both educational and healing, that the innate wholeness underlying the personality of each of us is being evoked, clarified, and strengthened through the challenges and experiences of a lifetime. I can't remember where I read about it. Maybe it was Rachel, but somebody was talking about visiting this garden that was under a roof. It was, under glass, and there was no outside air. And all of the trees had ropes supporting them. And she asked about that. And they said, well, there's no wind in this place, and so the trees don't grow strong enough to hold themselves up. We have to kind of tie them up with ropes, So we're all experiencing the winds of life these days, and Nibbana Pachaya Hotu, may this become a cause for awakening, both individually and collectively. Pablo Neruda again, perhaps the earth can teach us. When everything that seems dead later proves to be alive. So I wanted to look together at seeds, the seeds that bring us out, the seeds of our spiritual practice that bring us out in this cold night, and just seeds. I wrote something in my blog about radish seeds. You really can't see them. But the title of the essay was, They Say There's a Radish in Here. I don't think so. Or I found this, actually, I was going to say I found it in my yard, but actually I found it on the floor of my house because the cats were playing with it. But they say there's a tree in here, a little acorn. That it can seem impossible in these dark days, that if we just do something wholesome, there will be some magic that happens. And it can really seem hard and impossible. I was also inspired by a story. My current favorite book I always have a favorite book, is Rachel Naomi Raymond's book, My Grandfather's Blessings. My Grandfather's Blessings. It's really a great book. If you want to cheer up, this is a great book to read. Anyway, she talks about when she was 4, she had this beloved grandfather to whom she was beloved. He called her Little Blessed One in Yiddish. And one day, and he always brought her a present. He didn't bring ordinary presents, like dolls and things, but he would always bring her a present. One day he brought her a special present, which was a cup of dirt. And she was so disappointed because she said, I'm not allowed to play in the dirt. My parents don't let me play in dirt. And he said, it's okay. He said, if you just put this on your windowsill and you put a little water on it every day, something will happen. She's 4 and she loved him. And so she thought, well, okay. So she put it on her windowsill and she decided that she would put some water on it. I want to pause there for a minute because sometimes life gives us cups of dirt. Have you noticed that? I want to just pause for just a moment. Anybody have any dirt in your life? Any what are the dirts that we're dealing with these days? Oop. Anybody? Got any dirt? Oh, come now. Ooh. What? A dirt. A cup of dirt that seems hopeless and useless.
I'm watching my friends and former coworkers fearful of losing their homes and jobs.
Okay. Indeed.
Unrelenting illness.
Yeah, my husband was talking about the children in Sudan who are starving. Other dirts?
Unrelenting illness.
Dirts? Yeah. Welcome. I didn't get a chance to say welcome to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, a big dirt for me is just the anxiety of getting the exact job. Me being a college student, there's a lot of like pressures from, I want to go into finance, and I've like really attached to that and getting the right job in which I don't have control over, and doing good academically.
Yeah.
Just overall is those are dirts.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Anybody else? No? A dirt.
A dirt. This one doesn't apply to me because I didn't change my name when I got married or divorced. But 69 million women will have a harder time voting this year because they changed their name when they got married, and 4 million men will have a similar difficulty because of they just changed their names.
I had a dirt. I just told Laura about it when she came in. Laura and I are planning this Living While Dying retreat. And this morning, as I was working on it, I got profoundly anxious, working so closely with dying. And so I told Laura tonight, I said, I changed my mind. Let's not do that. It's too hard. Anybody online have any dirt? No dirt there? No, nothing?
Yes.
A dirt.
Unrelenting illness.
Ah, no kidding. Jackie,
Yes, physical challenges.
physical challenges. Thank you. Life presents us with cups of dirt sometimes, and we go, what am I supposed to do with this? And our spiritual practice invites us, metaphorically, to water it, to be intimate with the experience, and to look for the liberation in it. what is meant by refuge in Buddha is like what the grandfather, when he called her little blessed being, you know, Buddha calls us little blessed beings. This is what my teacher, John Wellwood, said about that. He said, as you simplify, you start to feel your very presence is wholesome in and of itself. You don't have to prove that you are good. You discover a self-existing sanity that lies deeper than all thought or feeling. You appreciate the beauty of just being awake, responsive, and open to life. Some of you came up to me at the break and said that you discovered a sense of that in the contemplation earlier tonight, just that sense of goodness. And this is from another poem. This is from a poem by Mark Nepo. He says, and we can churn at all that goes wrong, but then we must lay all distractions down. And so in our spiritual practice, another contemplation I'm inviting you is, what are the distractions in the dirts, in the physical challenges and the illnesses and the job concerns and the questions and the, you know, what's going on with politics these days and the friends who are losing or in danger of losing their jobs. What are the distractions that come up for us as we contemplate how to be with these? What are the distractions that come up for you?
Fear.
Fear. You want to say, no,
No, just fear.
just fear. Uh-huh. Like this morning when I was thinking about dying. Yes. Mhm. Other? What are the distractions?
Getting on the laptop and endlessly researching something that I later realize is not important.
Mm. Thank you. You didn't see because behind you there were some nods as you were speaking. Yeah. Other distractions, Barb.
I find that when things come up, I end up endlessly trying to figure out how to fix them.
Mhm. Thinking. Mhm.
Thinking.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I find myself trying to do everything, you know?
Thank you. Irrational emotions that come from worldly desires overall.
Emotions.
Trying to like hold on to like grasping in any of its fashions. I was, I'm kind of dealing with a potential moving situation, a lot more minor than
Mhm.
a lot of the concerns that have been brought up tonight, but just grasping at the thing that you have now or
The things you
situation
have and the
now,
familiarity.
instead of
Mhm.
kind of realizing the
Yeah.
potential in the alternatives and the potential and the other options in future.
Great.
In conversations with family and friends and people who are afraid and nervous and on edge, it's a huge distraction from connection. There's such comparison, whether people have jobs or not. Say like what I'm going through or this anxiety isn't as bad as someone else's. So it's such a distraction from being able to say, to name it, to say it, and to
Mhm.
actually not be alone in it, a lone wolf in it.
Yeah, that's a big one for me. Yeah, and comparison. Anybody online? Distractions? Sorry, I should turn around this way. Anybody online? Now I have to turn around this way.
Just all the tasks of daily living.
All the what?
Tasks.
Tasks. Jobs. Oh, all the, Thank you, Linda. Yeah. Other?
I feel like everything's out of control.
So actually the thoughts that everything is out of control or there's so much. Okay, good. So lots of distractions. And Mark Nebo in his poem, he says, and we can churn at all that goes wrong, but then we must lay all distractions down and water every living seed. So just like Rachel's grandfather asked her to take this cup of dirt and water it. And so all the Buddhist teachings are about watering, how we water. And it will be different for each of us, but I want to ask again, what's the water that the Buddha asks us to offer to these difficulties? And as you contemplate your spiritual practice, what water do you have to offer when you find yourself lost in rumination or anxiety or aloneness or confusion or any of these? What does the Buddha teach that inspires you?
I think first of connection.
Connection, Sangha, community.
And non-separateness.
How does non-separateness come up for you? How do you practice it?
Just not feeling different from, just people.
Here, hold it up right up to your lips.
People, just being really with people.
Being with people.
Walking after 5, I grabbed a chance before it was dark to walk, and every person I passed on the street was another conversation or communication, and yeah,
beautiful.
It was beautiful.
Beautiful. So refuge in Sangha, refuge in community, refuge in people. It's one of the teachings. Yeah, I find sometimes when I want to pull back in, really the invitation is to speak and to go to connection. And it really helps. It really helps to ease my nervous system. Others, what are other teachings, Nancy Elizabeth, that inspire you?
That the present is the only time there really is. So when I start to worry about, is this going to happen or is that going to happen or what will I do if, then I just say, forget it. Now is the only time there is. Just concentrate on now.
Great. So teachings on mindfulness and the discipline of concentration and that takes discipline, doesn't it? Sometimes. Oops.
For instance, if I'm worrying and I'm in the kitchen, then I say, you could just look at the vegetable right there. What color is it? What shape is it? Forget everything else.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and it takes some real discipline. Somebody was talking earlier about, kind of getting lost in the computer. It takes some real concentration. So the teachings on mindfulness in the present and discipline to really consider what's wholesome, what's useful, and what isn't. I see some grins rising in the room.
Well, I would say hope or amnesia, sort of like salt and pepper. If the one doesn't work, then try the other.
What'd you say? Hope and
amnesia.
Say more about the amnesia part.
Sometimes if you can't solve something, you might as well just forget about it.
Wait, put up.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes if you can't solve something, if it's not in your control, just forget about it. Like amnesia, have amnesia on it.
Yeah.
Or have hope. Or some of each.
I see. I have a greeting card that I think a long time ago I gave a talk on, and it goes something like, things I've learned, a universal remote control does not allow you to control the universe. And then inside it said, I didn't give you a universal remote control for your birthday because believe me, you would just be disappointed. So amnesia, just letting it go. Okay. More. Yes. I really should keep my phone on me so I get steps for this. Jeff.
I was going to say attention is a kind of watering. Full, complete attention.
Full attention. Yeah.
To a person or to something you're doing. Not thinking about it, just being completely present.
Present. So that's, yeah. Anyone online? What are the teachings that help you water the seeds?
Getting back in the body.
Being in the body.
Yes.
Yes. Feeling the experience in the body. Thanks, Eliza.
Walking out the front door, hugging a tree.
Yeah. Yeah. When I go for a walk, I really try to pay attention to the sky. What does the sky look like today? Are there clouds? What does it look like? So Rachel's grandfather took her to fill the little teapot. And he said, if you promise to put some water in the cup every day, the whole, something may happen. And she looked at him very dubiously. And he said, every day, little one. Okay. And it's really what our spiritual practice is asking us, isn't it? That we keep coming back to the teachings. Hatred never ceases by hatred. By love alone is hatred healed. This is an ancient and eternal law. It's the Buddha and the Dhammapada. The Noble Eightfold Path, some of you are naming that. Wise intention, wise effort, wise view, wise understanding, wise speech. One of the talks I almost brought tonight was to bring Bishop Buddhis, the Episcopal bishop, bring her speech and ask you to contemplate the Buddha's teaching on wise speech. Is that wise speech, So wise speech, wise action, wise livelihood, wise mindfulness and concentration. Some of you mentioned that. The Brahmaviharas, kindness, practicing compassion. As Linda, you were speaking to, seeing other people, speaking with them. Jeff, you were talking about just being fully present with other people. And really, I was reading something reminding me that every single person we meet experiences the same kind of anxiety or loneliness or uncertainty that we are experiencing. Sympathetic joy, delighting in the goodness of others. Judy, you told me a story at the beginning tonight of delighting in the goodness that you encountered. Yeah. Equanimity, the paramitas, which are how to practice in daily life, generosity, virtue. We did a contemplation on virtue tonight. The Buddha says you should practice this. I was thinking, I think I'm going to cut it out of my talk and put it on my refrigerator for a while, Renunciation, letting go. Letting go. Discernment. What's worthy of my attention? What isn't? Persistence and patience. I'll come back to that with Rachel and her little seed. Endurance, truth, determination. These are the paramitas. goodwill, and equanimity. You know, so we can take these, if you will, the gardening book of the teachings and look to see what's calling you in this situation. What's the practice that we are invited to that is watering the seeds, watering every living seed? So Rachel says about the seed that or about the cup that her grandfather gave her. He didn't tell her anything about what was in it. He just gave her a cup of dirt. She said, and so I promised. At first, curious, I did not mind. And so we practice. But as the days went by and nothing changed, it got harder and harder to remember to put water in the cup. After a week, I asked my grandfather if it was time to stop. Every day, little one, he told me, keep going. The Buddha didn't start by asking us to know the ultimate nature of reality. He asked us to practice what is wholesome and water the seeds. I think I'm going to skip a little part here. We can let the circumstances of our lives harden us so that we become increasingly resentful and afraid, or we can let them soften us and make us kinder and more open to what scares us. We always have this choice. That's Pema Chodron. This is Amma Tanasanti. She said, even when we are in the middle of a socially engineered trauma activation, where shock, anger, division, despair, or overwhelm are the desired results, we can refuse to succumb to hatred. Instead, we commit to being present to what we are thinking and feeling and discern what we choose to follow. In this way, we find the next available step of where to focus and what we can do to help. We don't need to resolve the bigger problems, have special qualities, be particularly strong, or be spiritually evolved. We need the determination to take the next step toward the reality of how interconnected life is and we are. Just taking the next step. This is Naomi. The second week was even harder, and I became resentful of the promise to put water in the cup. When my grandfather came again, I tried to give it back to him, but he refused to take it. He refused to take it back, saying simply, every day, little one. By the third week, I began to forget to put water in the cup. We know that one, don't we? Often I would remember only after I had been put to bed, and I would have to get out of bed and water it in the dark, but I did not miss a single day. And one morning, there were 2 little green leaves that had not been there the night before. I was completely astonished. Day by day, they got bigger. I could not wait to tell my grandfather, certain that he would be as surprised as I was. But of course, he was not. Carefully, he explained to me that life is everywhere, hidden in the most ordinary and unlikely places. I was delighted. And all it needs is water? I asked. Gently, he touched the top of my head. No, little one, all it needs is your faithfulness. All it needs is your faithfulness. On my little radish seed package, It says, maintain consistent moisture to keep the radishes growing. Slow development will cause the radishes to be hot and pithy. So all it needs is your faithfulness. All it needs is your faithfulness. And so for you, I'm going to invite you to contemplate what kind of faithfulness are you called to? And if you would like to, I'm not going to ask it out loud, but if you would like to, just speak to another person near you about that, just for a couple minutes. What faithfulness are you called to these days, these dark days of winter, with your spiritual practice, that you might resolve to offer to yourself? What kind of faithfulness are you called to? What do these days ask, these dark days ask of your spiritual practice? I want to end with a couple of quotes and then the rest of Pablo Neruda's poem. This is from Amma again. She says, repeatedly shifting from the cycle of suffering to the ending of suffering illuminates who we are beneath the patterns of thoughts and emotions. Knowing this fundamental truth of who and what we are is where we find sustainable courage, determination, and hope. It helps us move beyond narratives of domination and separation into a lived understanding of our interconnectedness. It supports creating islands of sanity and circles of safety where we offer the skills and resources we have available. Each time we deliberately choose the path of less suffering, we ease the pain for ourselves and others. We go against the forces designed to numb, confuse, divide, and overwhelm us. Instead, we take a stand, expressing our humanity, our connection to each other, and to the web of life where we are inextricably embedded. And this is from Rachel Naomi Raymond again. I've spent many years learning how to fix life. She was a medical doctor, is a medical doctor, and grew in a very traditional and kind of harsh system of medical training. I've spent many years learning how to fix life, only to discover at the end of the day that life is not broken. There is a hidden seed of greater wholeness in everyone and everything. We serve life best when we water it and befriend it. In befriending life, we do not make things happen according to our own design. We uncover something that is already happening in us and around us, and we create conditions that enable it. Everything is moving toward its place of wholeness. Befriending life requires that we listen for that potential, which is trying to actualize itself over time. It will be there whether we are listening to a tree, a person, an organization, or a society. It is always struggling against odds. Everything has a deep dream of itself and its fulfillment. And I brought this. I found this in the back of my cupboard the other day. But I mean, look at how hard it's trying. With just not very much support from me. Indeed. Anyway, the seeds are wanting to grow. They're wanting to grow. They need your water. And this is the rest of the poem from Pablo Neruda, and it's Keeping Quiet, Prayers for the Earth. He says, now we will count to 12 and we will all keep still. For once on the face of the earth, let's not speak in any language. Let's stop for 1 second and not move our arms so much. It would be an exotic moment without rush, without engines. We would all be together in a sudden strangeness. Fishermen in the cold sea would not harm whales, and the man gathering salt would look at his hurt hands. Those who prepare green wars, wars with gas, wars with fire, victory with no survivors, would put on clean clothes and walk about with their brothers in the shade, doing nothing. What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Life is what it is about. I want no truck with death. If we were not so single-minded about keeping our lives moving and for once could do nothing, perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. Perhaps the earth can teach us, as when everything that seems dead later proves to be alive. Now, I'll count up to 12, and you keep quiet, and I will go. So, thank you, little blessed beings. Good night. Good night. Blessings.